topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask Good Questions podcast, broadcasting live every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on W4CY Radio at W4CY.com. This week and every week, we will reach for a higher purpose in money and life, as well as a focus on health and wellness. Now, let's join your host, Benita Bell Anderson, as together we start with Asking Good Questions.
Hello and welcome to the Ask Good Questions podcast, where we try to ask a lot of good questions every single week. I'm your host, Benita Bell Anderson, and we have a very pertinent, very, very timely topic today around health and wellness. And I have got one of the stellar nutritionists in the whole country here with me today. Her name is Jana Jamail. I will invite her to the podcast stage now.
Hello.
Did I say your name right?
Yes, you did.
Okay. I was like, as I'm saying it, I'm going, did I do that right? Anyway, this is a gal that I have had the joy of getting to know a whole lot more this year. And let me tell you just a little bit about this girl. She's actually in Austin, Texas, correct? Right?
Yes.
And she is a functional nutritionist and a neuroscientist. I didn't know that those two went together. She runs a private practice working with high-performing individuals and focuses on finding the root cause of complex symptoms. She sees clients with a whole lot of different complaints, including gut issues and brain fog and chronic exhaustion. She's going to have a story about that today. She uses individualized clinical protocols, advanced testing, and simple changes. Probably the most important one is simple changes to alleviate symptoms, improve health, and introduce realistic lifestyle changes for lasting improvement. So anything you want to add to that?
No, that sums it up pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I just love that you research as well as getting to know people and helping them, because I think that makes it possible for you to stay timely on what's going on with everything that's happening in medicine these days.
Well, and a lot of people don't think of nutritionists as researchers, but in a lot of ways we are, because we get different cases coming in all the time. Everybody with different symptoms, different background history, different family history, different exposure history. And so we have to take all of those pieces and then come up with what's best for that individual person. So in a lot of the ways, we're kind of doing research all the time. We just don't really call it that.
Right. Well, like I'm, while you're talking about that, I'm thinking, because you and I have done some consulting, and it's like, you can't make me do anything. You also have to deal with that person's motivation and their willingness to follow the things that you're telling them. And in the end, it's going to get down to that person. Mm-hmm. Right. And they're going to be 100% responsible for their own self, which is what I always say.
Yeah.
They're just, it's just crazy. So today we're going to focus on magnesium. I think there's I've been confused about, because you see all these different ones. So we're going to clear this up today. So what was it? How did you become interested in specializing in mineral and magnesium deficiencies that people have?
So if you do a master's in nutrition, you have to get deep into the nitty gritty of vitamins, minerals. What are those doing? What do they turn on and off in the body? Why are they essential? How do you absorb them? How long does it take to absorb them? So in one of my assignments for class, it was all about magnesium. And most people kind of focus on sleep, anxiety, and then if you're constipated. But because I'm a neuroscientist and I've always loved neuro, I wanted to know what was going on with the brain and magnesium. And the research I started stumbling upon was concussion protocols and how magnesium is one of the first things that you give to people who have a concussion. Not a severe concussion where we're talking like you're hospitalized and you're comatose. We're talking like a football player has been concussed on the field. They're coming off. We are immediately handing them magnesium. Why are we doing that? And then that led me into there's different types of strokes. And there's also something called a TIA, which is a stroke-like event.
Yeah.
Magnesium is essential for recovering from that. And it can actually determine how long you have symptoms. And so from there, I really started thinking about what is so important with magnesium in the brain. And, I'm actually going to be using a completely different type of magnesium than my counterparts are in their nutrition practices, because they may not see anyone with a stroke or with a concussion and have to recover from that. So that's kind of what got me on the hamster wheel of magnesium.
Well, I mean, for a long time, I had no idea that there was even different types.
I know most people know there might be two. There's a lot.
Yeah, it's like, what? And one of the things I did in getting ready for this is you have an article on your website, which we'll have information about where to find that. But that article talks about matching the right form to your body's needs.
Yes.
So what first tipped you off to there's different things for different problems here?
So yeah, that a lot of that again is just from school. Like I had to know what types of magnesium affected the gut and what is going to affect your sleep. And then some of them aren't even magnesium that you're going to take orally, that sometimes Epsom salt is actually a form of magnesium. People don't really know that. There's also magnesium chloride, which you actually can put on as a lotion and rub into your legs for muscle recovery. So there's so many different forms. And then we have to be mindful, like, if I have a client come to me and they have irritable bowel syndrome and they lean loose stool, if I give them certain magnesium, I'm going to make their life miserable. So you have to be you need to be mindful of what you're giving. And then we also have to understand all of the layers that it's going to affect. And then how is that absorbed? So the absorption is key because you can't actually absorb magnesium without boron. But then there's certain types specifically for bone health that you need vitamin D and you need vitamin K2. You can't absorb it properly. So even there, like your absorption is completely different depending on what you're taking.
Well, I'm thinking of a ginormous bottle that I saw at Costco. And I can't. And do you know the one I'm talking about? And they were like the people at the little tables, and they're hyping certain products at Costco. Well, this was like a giant bottle of magnesium gummies.
Oh, sure.
And it feels like magnesium is having like all this hype around it. Do you feel like that's the case these days?
Yeah. So a lot of our soil doesn't have the same amount of minerals that we used to have, and magnesium is one of those. And so I kind of feel like magnesium is starting to become talked about almost like vitamin D, where it really doesn't matter where you live on the planet. You should probably be taking vitamin D. We're just not absorbing it like we used to. So I live in the South. I still have to take vitamin D. That's kind of the conversation around magnesium right now as well, is are we getting enough? Because your body utilizes magnesium almost immediately. There's about 2 forms that it slows down and it doesn't get absorbed in the gut in the same way. But most of your magnesium, it is absorbed and used pretty much on the spot, which is why it's really hard also to measure magnesium. So some people want to go get a blood test. It's really hard for a blood test to accurately measure magnesium, especially all the different kinds. So if someone says, I have really low magnesium, that's really hard to determine. So we look at symptoms more. We look at how are you feeling? We look at your bone health. We look at your muscles. We look at your energy. We look at your cognitive function. We look at those things, and then we can kind of understand, is magnesium necessary here?
Well, and a lot of the people that are listeners are getting ready to retire. They're more mature, right?
Sure.
And so for those people, what is there a certain type or form of magnesium that would be the thing that they should be getting? Is there, it sounds like you don't just take anything. You have to look at what is the problem. So for people who are more in the retirement years, the last third of their life, I'm saying, that 60 to 100, because now we have a whole lot more people living longer.
Yeah.
But is there one particular one that they should be looking at, or still looking at what is my problem? What's my issue?
One that I really would recommend that helps with anxiety, poor sleep, a racing mind, but also like your bone health is called magnesium glycinate. It's glycinate. You can also see it as biglycinate. But that one does multiple things that are really beneficial for people. And so I do recommend that. There's a really great supplement called Calm, and Calm has magnesium glycinate in it. And it also has two other things that I love. One of them is an amino acid, and then one of them is a neurotransmitter. But it's L-theanine and GABA. Those help to calm a whole lot of things down. So if you take that, you'll probably feel more refreshed in the morning. It takes care of your bones. It's very relaxing. It's one of my favorites. It's not going to upset your stomach either. So that's one of the big kickers with magnesium is if you have stomach issues, you want to be very careful with the type that you take, because you can make your stomach issues worse. Or if you lean constipated, they could make things a whole lot better. It just depends. So for that, magnesium citrate is really great for constipation. But if you lean loose stool, stay away from it. It's going to make your life miserable.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that I've been doing my own little research before this was the magnesium needs to be paired with another molecule to be absorbed. And the thing that I become much more aware of is this whole issue of absorption. So what's the deal with having to be paired with something else?
So what most people don't know is a lot of the nutrients that we take in, we can't actually absorb them very well without something we call enzymes. So enzymes are just like a key to a door. So when those enzymes actually get paired with the nutrients, then the body can take them up. One of the greatest ways of introducing those enzymes is with stomach acid. And so older, more mature people have lower stomach acid. And so we look at, do we need to add some more support for stomach acid so that you can absorb those nutrients? Same thing with protein, same thing with B vitamins. So when it comes to magnesium though, boron is one of the number one enzymes that will pretty much turn on almost all forms of magnesium.
Okay.
Except for the one for bone health. That is, you're going to need vitamin D2 and you're going to need vitamin K3. The reason you need those two isn't necessarily just to turn it all on. It's because you need, we call them osteoblasts, and it's the cells that create new bone health. We need those to get activated at the same time. And so we need vitamin D2, we need vitamin K, and then we need that magnesium at the same time, that biglycinate or glycinate, whichever one you want to call it. It's both. We need that all together. And so it's kind of like a soup that we need everything to go into. And it's like a recipe that your body reads really, really well once you have all of the right enzymes to turn everything on.
So can you talk just a little bit more, because I think about sleep, because that, I'm guessing that might be one of the biggest things, that if people are dealing with poor sleep or a racing mind, I know I have suffered from that a lot, just going to bed and looking at the ceiling and going, oh, I need to just shut my brain off. What magnesium form is it again that they should be looking for?
The magnesium glycinate. And if you look at that, the supplement I mentioned is Calm. It has that in there with the other two ingredients that are great. Sometimes they're gummies. Sometimes you can put them like in a water if you want to drink it. It's kind of up to you, but In the more mature age group, it's funny. In the mature age group and the most immature age group, they both love this supplement the most. Yes.
Another problem that I have seen has been muscle cramps at night.
Yes.
Muscle cramps, soreness, recovery. Does that call for a different kind entirely?
Yes. So what's interesting with that?
Unfortunately, I was hoping that was going to take care of everything.
It does not have everything. So magnesium malate is great for muscle repair. It's really important for different other layers of health as well: heart health, vascular tone. It's really great for energy as well. It's not going to keep you up. What most people don't know is when muscles cramp, it's not just a lack of nutrients, but it's also a response of your mitochondria and how they're creating energy. And so one of the things we know is that if you're having that cramping, you might be having some mitochondrial dysfunction there. Magnesium malate is great for that. So we're not going to be keeping you up, but we're going to make sure that your muscle cells are able to actually reproduce the energy that you need. And then there's also, you can do 2 different forms that are not oral. You can do magnesium chloride, which is a lotion, and you can rub that into your muscles at night. Or if you like a bath, it's called magnesium sulfate, which is just Epsom salt. So you can get that almost anywhere. And I know a lot of people like to take a bath and then they can hop into bed and they can calm down a little bit with that.
Right. Well, it sounds like you could take your magnesium glycinate for sleep, but then, because a lot of times the most common time to have muscle cramps is nighttime.
Yeah, nighttime. So you could do
wake you up.
Malate before you get in bed. You could do a little combo if you wanted to. There's also multiple forms of magnesium where it comes as we call it a complex, where there's multiple forms. I recommend those, especially for clients who are recovering from a TIA or a concussion. I'll recommend a complex that also has all of the vitamin D and vitamin K and boron and everything else in it, so they can take one pill and it meets pretty much all of their needs.
Wow. Well, so now let's turn to bone health.
Sure.
That's another issue with people as they age.
Mm-hmm.
Which type of magnesium is best for bone health?
So there's 3. You don't have to take all of them. But if you want to, this is where the combination can come in, where I'm taking glycinate because I want to go to sleep easier. Oh, that's also really good for my bone health. Oh, I'm taking malate because that's really good for my muscle cramps. That's also really good for bone health. So those 2 you could combo. And then when I mentioned the magnesium citrate, that's good for digestion. That's also good for bone health.
Awesome.
Yes.
Well, it's just like, I think in all cases that I have found in my life, the easier that I can implement something, then the more likely I am to do it.
Yes.
And so the thing, if we're talking about these different issues and these different things, is it realistic or advisable or okay for someone to take multiple forms of magnesium at once? Are they gonna?
You can. The only one I would be careful of is the magnesium citrate if you lean with a looser stool. Just because you're really going to upset your stomach. But you absolutely can combine them. And the more potent or different forms of magnesium that I use for, say, like someone who's just had a concussion or someone who's had a stroke, those aren't usually readily available on the grocery or pharmacy shelf. You're not just going to walk up and it's called magnesium L-threonate. Most people won't know what that is, and they're not going to pick it up. So those things you're probably going to lean away from, but you can find magnesium glycinate at any grocery store at this point. You can find malate. You can find all of those. If you wanted a combination, you can absolutely take them together.
But the other thing that I'll mention will be that on your website, there is also a place where they can look at the products that you have on your website and get a little bit of input from you. So that's another good thing to know.
Yes.
so say somebody's in those later years, can and if they're going, you know what I'm doing right now is not working, what's one simple step that they could take if they feel like what they're doing right now is not working?
So I would base it off of the symptoms. Like, how are you feeling? What is the most pressing thing that's bothering you? And then if that's always been there, if you've been seeing a doctor over and over and over again, then you know that maybe there's something going on at the root level that you're just not getting care for. So you could find another practitioner if you wanted to. You could find a nutritionist if you wanted to. It kind of depends. But it really depends on what the pain point is for the person and what they're experiencing in order for them to address sometimes it's back pain, sometimes it's muscle pain, like you mentioned, sometimes it's restless leg, and nutrition serves a purpose in all of those. People just don't really know that.
Right. Well, I promised our listeners that we would have a story about an actual person that you've helped. So can you go through, kind of set us up? What's the backstory on this person that has been your client and how you helped her?
Yeah, so she was a vice president of sales, and she traveled. I think she sold insurance, so traveled all the time. She came to me because she wanted to lose weight, which I have to tell you, most people come to me when they just want to lose weight. Yep. And then I have people fill out a questionnaire, like a medical symptoms questionnaire form. And because what I do is called medical nutritional therapy, so that you're actually working on a medical level. So when she filled everything out, girl was struggling. Like, she's so exhausted. She's literally driving early to her sales meetings, sleeping for 10 minutes in the parking lot, then going into her meeting, then leaving and going down to the gas station and taking another 10-minute nap. And this was what she did and she was like, I think this is fine. And I was like, okay, tell me more things about you. And she was living on Diet Coke and caffeine. And the thing that really stood out to me with her was how she spoke to herself internally. She had this idea that she could only be a Doritos girl. She couldn't be a carrot girl. And I was like, okay, we have our work cut out for us. Like, this is an identity crisis. So for her, instead of trying to do an overhaul on her diet and change everything, my first step was actually getting her to sleep. And so for her, what I did was I was like, just stop caffeine 7 hours before you want to be asleep. And then I told her when I wanted her to be asleep. And so, which was by 10. And then we just started working on her sleep.
Well, no more caffeine after 3 p.m.
Correct. 2:00 is that's it. You better be done sipping by 2.
We're on by 2.
We're not doing any more caffeine after 2. So then it took about 3 weeks, and then she started sleeping normally. And once she could, because her brain, the brain fog from not sleeping, the inflammation from not sleeping, it's pretty aggressive for anyone. So having her being able to do that, then we were able to transition to like, let's change one thing on your plate. So we changed the type of protein she was eating, and then we made sure that she had enough at night so she wasn't starving at night. And then we added walking because that was easy. And we just did little easy things like, let's add a cup of blueberries one week. And we worked together for about 18 weeks. And by the time she was done, she was eating a full Mediterranean diet. She was walking every single day. We were not napping in the gas station anymore. She wasn't drinking Diet Coke anymore. But it's slow changes. Yeah. And she felt, I think she lost over 35 pounds. But it was just really, and sleep had a lot to do with that. I'm not going to lie. Sleep was huge for that.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it was just meeting her where she was. She had no energy, period. So there's no way I could have told her, hey, we're going to start a workout routine and we're going to overhaul your entire diet in week 1. Like she never could have.
No, it would have been overwhelming.
Yeah. She would have been like, okay, I'm never doing this again. But her mindset changed too, because by the end of it, she was like, I'm kind of okay being the carrot girl. And I was like, great. Whatever gets you there. I just need you to eat some vegetables.
Well, and that's the thing, it sounds like, like for me, that's what has worked always in my case, is just one little thing.
Yeah.
And you've got to make it doable.
Oh my gosh, yes. And it's all about feedback too. If she had come back and said, I can't do that, then I would have had to pivot and say, okay, let's see what we can do. And she was so desperate to sleep. That was so easy to start with and to get her to do. And I even had to start her with melatonin because she could not fall asleep. She was so stressed out. She was so high strung. And I was like, and she couldn't do a sleep hygiene routine, which is okay. So we just had 2 rules. You have to stop working by 8 p.m. and you have to take your melatonin. And after a week of that, then she slowly got into a routine of what she could do at night so that she wasn't keeping herself up and only getting like 4 hours of sleep.
Right. So little bells went off in my head.
Sure.
What's the difference between melatonin? Because you said you started on melatonin, but we've been talking about magnesium. What's the difference between taking melatonin and magnesium?
So different functions in the brain. So melatonin is a hormone. It naturally rises when it's getting dark outside. And so that's when you start to feel sleepy and you're like, wow, I'm really tired. And then your cortisol raises in the morning and that diminishes your melatonin and you start to wake up. So you normally have this cycle. Because she screwed up her cycle so badly, we were not having any melatonin rising in the evening. And so magnesium would not have been enough for her it may have made her be like, oh, I'm relaxed enough to continue binging this show instead of I want to go to sleep. So magnesium is also not a hormone, right? But the interesting thing too, magnesium is really important for inflammation, but melatonin in the brain is also an antioxidant. And so when she's not sleeping that much, she's actually creating something we call reactive oxygen species in the brain, which creates inflammation and causes an immune response. Wow. So magnesium would have stopped the inflammation, but it wouldn't have stopped where it was starting. But if I give her melatonin, it stops what's actually creating the inflammation in her brain.
Did she continue? Was there ever a point where she was taking melatonin and magnesium?
No. She actually was able, once we got her on a rhythmic cycle and her circadian rhythm balanced again, she actually didn't have to take melatonin at all anymore.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so let's shift. So I'm looking at the time here.
Okay.
Let's switch a little bit to how do you, so obviously this is a business of yours.
Yeah.
You don't do this out of just the goodness of your heart. You're actually, this is a business. So a lot of people probably also do not know that this can be paid for. Nutritional counseling, correct?
Yes.
Can be paid through HSA, FSA. It's called nutritional consulting. So let's talk about how does someone use their health insurance to pay for something like this?
Yeah. So some health insurance companies actually cover infinite sessions with me with $0 out of pocket.
Whoa, I want that kind of health insurance.
I know, right? I'm like, I don't know who's doing this insurance. This is amazing.
Yeah.
And then there's HSA and FSA. They allow you to use your spending account. So it's like a credit card or like a debit card. They allow you to use that card on services like me. And so if you're not using it for glasses, if you're not seeing the doctor as often as you should, some people aren't using any of those funds and then they just have them there. And so people don't think about nutrition in that way. Not a lot of people even think I need a nutritionist. Sometimes they get a referral from their doctor and then they go, well, I don't know how to pay for this. And so you can use that. What people also don't know is you can use that on supplements and labs as well. So if you want like a specialty lab run, which so many people want cortisol run, you can use your card for that. And then if you want to buy magnesium supplements, you can use your card for that. And people just don't know that you have money sitting in your pocket that you could actually be using for other services.
Right. Is there any kind of a mindset shift that someone, people would have to realize that they could benefit from something like that, and to consider. So are people going to have a mindset shift to to consider consulting with someone like you?
Sometimes, yeah, I would say, like, if you go to the doctor and you have high cholesterol, I might not be the first person you think of working with, but I'm going to save you a whole lot of money on pharmaceuticals if you decide to work with me, because we can help fix that problem just with food. And then you're not having to pay out of pocket for a statin or something else for the rest of your life.
Which I'm for.
And then there's a lot of things when we look at blood labs, we look at things a little bit differently. So if things are slightly low and slightly high, we take all of that into account. And then we look at, like, how is the body struggling here? Is there something going on? Oh, some people don't know that if you have high cholesterol, a lot of the time when a nutritionist looks at that, we're thinking, is the body struggling somewhere else and compensating? And so we look at the body as a whole. We don't silo the organs. Yeah. And so we just have a little bit of a different view, but a lot of things you can improve with food, with the right, and I say supplements, but sometimes it is like, we just need a supplement for a short period of time to help bring down the cholesterol, and then we get off of it. Right. But a lot of people don't know that, do I want the prescription pad or do I want to make a lifestyle change? And for some people, they don't want to make the lifestyle change, but I'm finding more and more people are tired of having the prescription pad and they would really like to make a lifestyle change instead.
Right. It just makes so much more sense to go that direction and be holistic about the whole thing, because you're a whole body. You're not just an organ.
Yeah. And there's side effects. Like, I'm not really worried about what the side effect is. If I give you brown rice, like, you're going to be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, people that are retired, does the whole HSA, FSA, lifestyle spending account, is that going to even apply to people that are already retired?
I don't think so. I think it's mostly for people who are still working, because they're getting that yearly. Unless
they still have it as they retire, and then that's just part of something, their package.
Yes. And then they could use it from their package. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, this is going to be more for those who go, I don't even know if I have that. If you're listening and you're still working, you need to look at, if you know you have a corporate account, go look, see if you have this, that you can take advantage of something like that.
Yeah. So just use it, period. It's money. Use it.
Yeah. Why not? So what does the first month look like? Someone says, hey, I'm going to get on track here with Jana. What does that first month with you look like?
So I normally do a free consultation call just to see where someone is at. Sometimes I'm not a good fit. Some people don't want to work with a nutritionist and a neuroscientist. They just want a really, really easy protocol that's going to make them lose weight really fast. So for those people, I probably won't be your person that you'll love. But for other people who have really complex symptoms and they've been miserable for a long time, those are mostly the people that come to me. So I do this call. I give them a game plan, and I let them know if that game plan includes labs or not. And then when they choose to sign up, we do a session, and that includes a lot of education. So a lot of people don't understand a lot about food and how to shape their plate and what they need to do. And then there's meal plan recommendations on different recipes to try, and then really good foods that are therapeutic for the body to include. Sometimes we'll do something called an elimination, where we'll remove gluten or dairy for a short while and see if that's causing any issues in the body. Sometimes that comes up quite a bit. But it's a lot of individualized moving pieces. And then people can message me literally anytime during the week if they have questions or concerns or they want to know something. But it's a lot of education and meeting people where they are, and then answering some complex questions. There's a lot of people who have gut issues that they have doctors who don't know what small intestinal bacteria overgrowth is, for example. And we all know what that is in nutrition, and we all know what we're looking at in nutrition. And so we kind of speak a different language, but we really do have an understanding of what's going on with the body. And we do a good job of checking off the boxes of, okay, if we have an issue in the gut, what do we need to start looking at? What do we need to get tested? And sometimes I refer people out. Sometimes I'll tell people I can get you 88% of the way there. The rest of it, we're going to have to get to a doctor. But I always recommend the doctor, recommend the type of doctor, and then get them care. One of my favorite clients I've had, she might be 20 now. She was passing out all of the time. And I finally was like, just like dropping like a fly. She's walking through the grocery store and she's just falling to the ground. I got her 80% of the way there where we weren't passing out all of the time. But I told her, you're going to need to see a cardiologist because
what about a neurologist? What about seizure disorders?
Well, so that's what I wondered. Actually, what turns out is she had a hyperactive vagus nerve. And I was like, oh, I know what to do with that. So then we had to change like how she's eating, when she's eating, how to sit after she's eating, electrolyte balance. We're doing completely different work together. But I needed a cardiologist to be able to answer that question on why are you just dropping all of the time?
Right. Yeah, you can't be dropping. No, that doesn't work.
She's 20. She started dropping all the time at the age of 14. No. This is not normal.
Okay, I got to move along here because our time is running away, Jana.
Sorry.
Speaking of running, you don't have people start exercising right away. Is there why are you taking that approach to not adding exercise right away?
So sometimes people are over exercising. Sometimes people's nervous systems are so stressed out. If we add exercise in, the nervous system is just gonna get more stressed. And sometimes that's honestly the harder thing to start than changing your food. It's a lot easier to add a cup of blueberries every day than to actually go outside and do something.
Really? You think so? I think so too. It's very easy to add a cup of blueberries. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can get food delivered now. You don't have to go outside.
I know. Just sign up with one of those things like HelloFresh or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's several of them now.
Working out can be really stressful for people. It's the thing that most people beat themselves up the most for, like New Year's resolutions. I'm going to go to the gym.
Yeah. And that lasts.
And no one's going to the gym.
Maybe 2 weeks.
Exactly. So I try to pick the most realistic thing that you can be successful at. Typically, once you're like, oh, I added blueberries, that was no big deal. And I'm like, what kind of exercise did you like as a kid? Do you like swimming? Do you like bike riding? I'm not trying to get you on a weightlifting regimen ever initially, unless you come to me saying you want to do that.
Yeah.
But really a lot of the goals I have is like just walking, just moving your body, swimming if you want to, yoga if you want to, but something that you enjoy doing. That sometimes can take, sometimes clients never get there. And sometimes clients are like, oh, yoga was okay. I can do that once a week. And then I just want to walk.
Right.
But even like convincing people to walk, I'm like, you should listen to an audiobook or a podcast or something. Because
I feel differently. Yeah. I have days when I don't feel like lifting weights. I know that is the case, that every day I can have a different mindset about exercise.
But people beat themselves up about exercise. People don't beat themselves up about a cup of blueberries.
No. Well, if someone's feeling like they're managing fatigue or stubborn weight loss that's never going to come off, where would they even start?
Oh, it depends on what your interest is. Do you
pick something?
Pick some, because some people, they're like, realistically, I don't have time to change my entire life. I want to do a GLP-1. Cool, let's do that. Yeah. Some people are like, I want to try changing all of my diet first. Cool, let's do that. It's really on what the person wants to do and where I can meet them with what their needs are.
If someone said hiring a nutritional scientist is too expensive, what would you say?
Oh, we're so cheap because you're only going to work with me for like 4 or 5 months, and you're probably never going to see me again. So I'm typically not in your life forever. It's a short relationship.
Have you heard that there's a quote, and just made me think of it. It's like, you're going to pay for this one way or another. If you're overwhelmed with some bad health habits, you're either going to pay now or you're going to pay later, right?
Absolutely. And I promise you, if you decide to go the pharmaceutical route and just do that, you are going to pay like 20 times what it cost.
Yeah.
And truly, I have had clients I've worked with who were looking at heart attacks, who worked with me for 6 months and their scans were cleared. I don't ever talk to them again. They're living great lives.
Right.
So my job isn't to retain you. My job is to like teach you, get you where you need to be. And there you go.
Right. Well, we're going to have to wrap this up. I swear this is like 40 minutes, but it went really fast.
I might
so if
talk
someone's, no, you don't talk too much, Jana. If someone listening wants to check whether they have unused HSA, FSA, or lifestyle spending funds, what do they do? Where should be their first move? Where should they go to take a look at that?
So they should check with their company that they work with to see what their balance is. That all of that lives in-house with that company. And then anytime they decide to use it, if they use it for nutrition, and they'll automatically get a receipt from that HSA, FSA as well, saying it's approved.
Right. We're gonna close up here, and this is this article that's on her website called Match the Right Form to Your Body's Needs. I'm gonna just read the last little paragraph.
Sure.
Instead of playing a guessing game and buying 5 different bottles, which I sometimes have done that in my life, the modern approach to mineral health favors a comprehensive multi-form formula. By blending these diverse forms into a single ritual, you give your body a true broad spectrum tool. And that's really what the whole magnesium conversation is all about. It's a tool to support your body.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
So your brain gets the calm it craves. And really, if you're not taking care of it, your body's going to start screaming at you louder and louder until you do.
Yes.
So your brain gets the calm it craves, your muscles get the recovery they need, and your cardiovascular system gets the support it deserves, all from a single intelligence scope or capsule. But, it's just like, figure out, for me, I just want to say, just figure out what's one thing that you can do to get yourself down the road towards a healthier body that is going to function better. So give me kind of, what would you want to say to close this out?
To close it out, I would say, 1, consider nutrition. We might do more than you think we do, as seen by how much I just explained about magnesium. And then 2, look into your HSA, FSA lifestyle spending, because you could be leaving money on the table that you could be using for your health and wellness, and you could be getting help that you probably deserve to have in your life that you may not think you need yet.
Well, and being a financial advisor, one thing I always say, and this has kind of become a byline, is health is the first wealth.
Absolutely.
You can have all the money in the world, but if you do not have your health and you don't take care of this, and I'm just very passionate about this, and you have got to take care of this so that you can continue to be out there and helping people and making a difference in the world.
And the people who don't have their health, absolutely agree with you, because it truly feels like there's nothing worse.
Yeah. So that's what we're striving for. And Jana, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. This has been a wonderful conversation. There will be a place on my website where I have all the downloads from guests. You can go find information on how to find Jana. Tell everyone what your website is.
It's roseginger.com.
We won't even get into why you called it that, but
okay, that's another day.
There's no time for a discussion on rose ginger. Anyway, so thank you, Jana, for joining me today. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining the Ask Good Questions podcast. I think we did ask a lot of good questions, and hopefully you've got some things that you can take away. So with that, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Today's episode is over, but we did ask good questions again, didn't we? Don't miss out as we broadcast live every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on W4CY Radio at W4CY.com. Join Benita Bell Anderson next week for more conversations with experts on finances, retirement, behavioral finance issues, health and wellness, and more. Until then, remember to ask good questions.